education system in pre-British India. In pre-British period, education in India was fairly widespread.
Indigenous education was thriving through a network of pathshalas set up by a guru or some wealthy people or the local community. Madrasas or maktabs, the elementary schools for Muslims, were usually attached to a mosque. These elementary schools taught the basic 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Beginning of Western education during British period.
The East India Company was not interested in the education of Indians. They needed educated Indians to help them run the country. They had to decline what kind of education should be imparted to the Indians. Orientalists. A group of British thinkers who strongly felt that Indians should be taught about their ancient culture and civilization were called Orientalists. William Jones, a prominent Orientalist, had a deep respect for the ancient cultures, both for India and the West. He felt that teaching Indians about their ancient culture would help Indians rediscover their own heritage and understand their glorious past. It would also help the British learn from Indian culture.
Orientalists argued that the British should promote Indian rather than Western learning.
With this object in mind, a madrasa was set up in Calcutta in 1781. The Hindu College was established in Banaras in 1791. The Anglicist view. Anglicists, like James Mill, strongly believed that the British government in India should stop wasting public money in promoting Oriental learning, which was of no practical use. To make the education system in India useful to the needs of the British, Indians should be made familiar with the scientific and technical advances made by the West.
Lord Macaulay, who was appointed to look into the matter, also emphasized the need to introduce Western system of education in India.
Charter Act 1813. Charter Act of 1813 was the first step taken by the British government towards development of education in India.
This act laid the foundation of Western education in India.
By this act, the British took upon themselves the responsibility of providing education to Indians. An amount of 1 lakh rupees annually was sanctioned for the spread of education in India. English Act of 1835.
English Education Act, introduced in 1835 by Lord Macaulay, put an end to the debate between Orientalists and Anglicists. On the basis of recommendations of Macaulay's Minute, it declared that the money allotted for education would be spent on promoting Western education through the medium of English. It would introduce them to European ways of life and change their tastes.
It abolished Persian as court language, replacing it with English. English language books were distributed free or at very low prices all over India to encourage the use of English. Wood's Dispatch, 1854. Introduced in 1854 by Charles Wood, this document covered a complete plan for spread of education in India. Main provisions of the Wood's Dispatch were: the medium of instruction at the primary level was to be vernaculars and at higher levels. English universities were to be set up in Calcutta, Bombay and Madras on the model of London University. Departments of education were to be set up to supervise education and grant financial aid to educational institutions. It supported female education and professional education. Teacher training institutions were to be set up all over the country. The system proved to be a failure because mass education was neglected. The officials were interested only in the education of a handful of Indians. Many vernacular elementary schools closed down due to stiff competition from the British-aided schools. Reformers as educators. Indian reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Swami Vivekananda, and Swami Dayananda Saraswati supported the cause of education. There were two groups of thinkers.
Reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy strongly felt that Western education would help in modernizing India. They wanted the government to open more schools and sanction more money for education of Indians. Reformers like Rabindranath Tagore and Mahatma Gandhi were not in favor of Western education and wanted to end it.
Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi supported an education system that would inculcate a sense of pride of their own culture and values among the Indians. He wanted Indians to learn Indian languages.
He envisioned Nai Talim, under which students were taught to read and write, along with training in a craft like spinning, weaving, pottery, etc. Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore wanted education to combine the best elements of both the Western and the Indian concepts.
In 1901, he started the Visva Bharati University at Shantiniketan, where children were taught art, music, and dance, along with science and technology. national education.
Western education brought Indians in touch with the writings of some of the great thinkers about liberty, equality, and freedom of all nations.
This developed a spirit of nationalism in the minds of educated Indians. The spread of Swadeshi and boycott movements motivated many Indians to stop going to English medium schools and colleges. Rabindranath Tagore and Raja Ram Mohan Roy planned to set up a new system of education on the national level and decided to set up a National Council of Education and opened many schools and colleges to spread education. Growth of science. Enlightened Indians believed that the reasons for our backwardness was that India had neglected science for too long. They urged to set up departments of science in the national universities. The national universities have produced world-renowned scientists like C.V. Raman and S.N. Bose, J.C. Bose, Birbal Sahni and Meghnad Saha.